Welcome, Commander, and thanks for joining me today as we're taking a look at the F63 Condor, the Taipan, and the Imperial fighter. Primarily, we're looking to compare them for racing purposes, but the primary thing here is maneuverability, agility, and speed. So you will be able to apply this for combat as well. There will be a total of 8 categories we'll look at. Top speed, boost speed, the turn radius full speed. We'll do a full pitch, full rotation, 360 degrees, and see how long it takes us. We'll do the same with the blue zone. We'll also do a vertical thrust drift test. These little fighters tend to drift, so we want to see if we go past the back of the station, can we stick on rails, or how much do we drift? We'll also perform an infamous mill slot turn to see how quick we can go in and out of the station. Left are 2 planetary tests. First, we'll do a sink test. The sink test is performed by aiming down 30 degrees at full speed and recovering at 1 kilometer to see how long we keep falling without adjusting the thrusters manually. We'll then do the same at 500 meters, but in this case we'll pitch up and use the vertical thrusters to push ourselves away from the terrain as quick as we can. Last is a track test. This track is designed by Laboratory 1 or Fat Haggard from the subreddit Elite Racers. We'll kick off with the top speed test. For this video, we'll compare the ships side by side. Let's check out the results. The F63 Condor reaches a total of 340 meters per second, the Taipan 285, and the Imperial fighter 312. This means that the F63 Condor has the highest base top speed. Next up is the boost test. Same video comparison. This one is interesting. I expected the F63 Condor to come out on top, but surprisingly, the Condor has 576 meters per second boost speed, and the Taipan, which is supposedly the slowest vessel, comes out with 584. Then we have the Imperial fighter with 534, and she's lacking slightly. So, surprising results, the Taipan is the fastest ship. Next up is the side-by-side full speed turn test. Let's see who comes out on top. So there is a speed element here. The F63 Condor is definitely the slowest. Disregarding speed, it's the drifting that happens that makes it very slow. The Taipan actually beats the Imperial fighter at full speed, but this is where I mean speed is involved, because the Taipan is slightly slower than the Imperial fighter. So in general, I will say the Taipan wins at full speed, but the match is not over yet. Let's move on to the same test in the blue zone. With the bouncing of the pitch there, it actually looked like a slot machine. So we see in the blue zone, the Imperial fighter beats the rest. And actually, in this case, the Taipan is the slowest. It's really strange when you consider that. The F63 Condor really catches up in the blue zone, but the Imperial fighter wins this one. Moving on to the vertical thrust drift test. The easiest way to do this is by going around the back of a station and seeing how fast we can go with a boost and catch back up to our speed. How much does our boost push us off into the vertical thrust? This is an interesting one. Let's have a look. So we'll start with the F63 Condor on single video. Boost around the back, and immediately you can tell we're being pushed away dramatically because the vertical thrust can't keep up with it. It takes us another boost to get back into the same trajectory. Here's the Taipan. Let's see how he handles himself. Remember, the speed is slightly slower, the vertical thrusters are stronger, and we're actually more on rails, less drift. Here's the fighter. This one is incredible. With this one, you almost have to be careful not to push your vertical thrust too much into the station. There's absolutely no drift, and she turns on a dime. I think it's very clear here who is the winner, the Imperial fighter, by far. Let's move on to the infamous mill slot turn. I will say with the mill slot turn, it is very particular per fighter how you perform the 360 turn. You have to take into consideration their vertical thrusters so that you don't hit the side of the station. So what you're about to see is the near optimal per ship. It's absolutely stunning to see the Imperial fighter at work. It's extremely fast because the vertical thrusters are really strong, the boost is really strong, and it really does turn on a dime, like I mentioned. The F63 Condor is terribly slow because of the vertical thrusters. You just can't get your ship to turn quick enough. The Taipan is better, but still very sluggish. Up next is the Planetary sync test, and I'll walk you through it. So here we are in the F63 Condor. We're pitching down to 30 degrees. Once we hit 1 kilometer, we'll just pitch horizontal and only keep throttling forward until the ship recovers itself. No vertical thrust added. You can see the Condor actually keeps sinking and it doesn't stabilize. Here again, the F63 Condor. This time we're going down to 500 meters, but we'll do everything to recover. Pushing with vertical thrust and pitch. Look at the altitude meter. We only just make it. Up next is the Taipan, descending to 1 kilometer and stabilizing at 0 degrees. No vertical thrust added, just forward momentum. And we recover around 600, 700 meters. Here we go down to 500 meters. Full recovery. And we're okay. Not too tough. Here's the Imperial fighter. A little bit more sync than the Taipan, but I will mention there is more speed as well because we are doing this at full speed. Here we go to 500 meters. Basically the same thing here. Because we have added speed, it takes a little bit more strength or power to stabilize. So what can I say about this one? We have the F63 Condor, which is absolute poop. The Taipan, pretty stable but slow. The Imperial fighter recovers pretty well, but also slow. I will say with this one, the Imperial fighter wins, but it's still a medium recovery. So here's the ultimate test, guys. This is the Planetary Trek test. This is what we're doing it for. This entire video is to find out which is the best racing ship. On the Elite Racers subreddit, we have Laboratory 1 and Coconut. They've designed a track. Rust671 has Napier installation, and they called this Napier Stadium. The idea is that you enter through the mill slot in the bottom there. You fly through the red dotted line. The first gate being the first tower, the second gate being the second tower. You go up to the middle, go in between number 3 there, between the 2 towers, rotate around number 4. You do 4 laps of that, but for this test I'm just doing a single lap. You go past 1 and 2 again, the towers, and then you exit back through the mill slot. So the next test will give you the times per ship, and I'll give you the conclusions as we go. What can I say? Let's come up with a final conclusion here, right? The F63 Condor, it sinks like a bitch. And because of that, you just can't turn because you're way too busy keeping your rear thrusters pointing to Earth or to the planet. It makes it very immaneuverable, and any speed that you have, you can't use it. So the F63 Condor obviously performed the poorest here, and I've rated it slow. The Taipan, it does better, surprisingly. It's because it's slower, it's because it has more vertical thrust power, and thus you can definitely steer around the track a little bit better. I'm sad to say, because I'm not a fan, the Imperial fighter is the racing ship, the best maneuvering ship out there. It is fast, it is agile, it pushes away from the surface with really strong vertical thrusters, it doesn't drift much, it really flies awesome. Too bad it's Imperial, too bad it's ugly, but it is the go-to ship. Guys, I'd like to know what you think about this. If you found it useful, if you have any questions, any tips, any comments, anything else you'd like me to test, do let me know. I hope to see you soon racing for the Elite Racers with the ultralight class, which are the ship-launched fighters when they hit retail. Guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you out there. 07.